Anyway, in 1 week we got Estoty, and in 2 weeks we got KeenCon. So how the fuck are we gonna win it? Or we just don't?
That's a good question, especially that it's kind of tricky
Thank you.
to
That's a
really.
compliment. That's a compliment for someone who does podcasts.
Yeah, it's somehow tricky for me right now to really get like this 100% mindset ready,
I know, yeah.
with what's happening with our cat here, and
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, there's unfortunately no way that things just get good at some point. We will have to say goodbye at some point to him, and it's quite an exhausting situation. It's like you have to fully taking care of one of your family members, for example,
Hmm.
because that's literally what he is. He is a family member,
Yeah, exactly.
and yeah, trying to be there for him, help him as much as possible, try to listen to his like body language, if he shows signs of pain
Hmm.
or anything like that, because that's obviously something we don't want to happen. And yeah, just let him have like really peaceful rest time of his life here.
Hmm.
And he also spent like moments of love and joy with us.
Hmm.
Shared great moments even after the diagnosis. And yeah, that's just a tricky part right now to be like 100% there. Of course, I'm a professional, and I try to blend things
Hmm.
out when, especially when competition is going on. But it just doesn't work that way, like every single moment. So we are humans in the end, and
Hmm.
of course, situation bugs here and there. But
Yeah.
trying everything I can, and then we need to somehow, everyone has its moments. You have your moments, I have my moments, and
Hmm.
that's the most important, to carry each other in these single moments.
That's fully understandable, and I understand that our private life has big impact on our career and like professions, whatever we do in our life. Plus, we can also see that you are in a cheerful mode. You have
Yeah,
some
yeah,
things to cheer
absolutely.
for. What
Yeah,
what is the
absolutely.
Germany group in this championship?
It's Scotland, then Swiss, and Hungary.
Okay. And
And yeah, we managed to win two of these matches already. And on Sunday is Swiss.
mhm.
Next big match. The winner pretty much is first in the group, but even a tie would mean Germany is first. So we are doing quite well, actually.
I'm asking about the group because I don't really follow that much because I don't want to get disappointed each time our team plays.
I
Because
mean, you can cheer
I can
for whatever team.
I can I can predict the scores already for our team. I shouldn't say that, but no, I actually watched a little bit of Poland Netherlands last match. It wasn't that bad, but of course
Mm.
we lost anyway. So it's like you know, I don't
It's
know
it's a
even.
tough it's a tough group. And not gonna lie, like they
Yeah,
really have a difficult group. So
yeah. It's like almost impossible to do anything. But anyway, I will after the group stage. I will cheer for somebody else. I don't know. We'll see. For Germany, Spain, maybe. I really like how Spain play. Like I
oh
always
yeah,
loved how they play. Like because they playing really fast football, a lot of passes, like a lot of like ball possession. It's like it's really nice to watch sometimes.
yeah. That's actually the same way Germany played in their first match against Scotland.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, like really fast football, quick passes,
Hmm.
not too much staying with the ball and everything. So
Hmm.
they did quite well. It looked a bit different against Hungary now, but it's still a great match. I mean, 2-0. They did their work, and it's looking pretty good. Like so
Yeah.
far from all the matches I've seen, Spain and Germany seem to be the strongest until right now. But I mean, of course, there are so many good teams. Like
It's
Italy's
always
first game hasn't been as good, but who knows how second match is gonna go and how they're gonna play.
hmm In Poland, we used to say that every team plays really, really fucking good, but in the end, Germany wins.
I mean, that's not how it went the past 6
I know,
years.
I know, but we'll see how it's gonna go now. Anyway, we need to go back to Quake.
Absolutely.
We're not gonna talk about football here, guys, unless you want us to talk about it. Let us know who you're cheering for on those championship and yeah. So about 2v2, I also wanted to ask you, like, how much more difficult, because obviously it's more difficult to improve in a team mode than in 1v1 mode. Because when you are preparing for your championships in 1v1 in Quake, you know, you are responsible for everything. You can set up everything like how you like. And you know, you depending only on yourself. So how would you compare like trying to improve in 2v2 and 1v1? What is like more difficult or what is less difficult sometimes maybe? How
I
do you
mean,
see that?
already what you said, like you're just responsible for yourself and what happens on
Hmm.
the game if you're playing duels. I mean, of course. And with 2v2, it's just if you wanna improve, you need to talk to each other. You
Hmm.
need to do some analysis. Would be like the best case, discuss a few
Hmm.
situations, what really went wrong, because often if one dies, the other follows like shortly after, depending on the
Hmm.
respawn and how quick it's going that moment.
Hmm.
So that can really it give you already a disadvantage on the map. And it happens here and there, even for us, like that we a little too split. One
Hmm.
dies, then the other dies, so we already like a two frag deficit, and that's something you want to try to avoid as good as possible.
Because sometimes it's even hard to analyze. Because, like, for example, if you think about it, you got some teams who stick really, really together, or they kind of have some plan in the game that they end up on the same place. So, for example, you got some teams which are very heavy on items, like Rapha Maxter, and let's say they know that next is heavy, both of them are there, both fighting. But sometimes when we play 2v2 and we split, it also can work. But it's like, you know, not always, and you need to find like those moments where you can split when not. It's like I
Mm.
think in team modes, it's like I don't know how people in CS do that, but it's like shit tons of work. And like props to you guys finding mistakes and like understanding if that was mistake or if that wasn't mistake. Because like in team modes, it's really hard to know what's bad and what's wrong. In 1v1, you kind of like understand mistakes, and in team modes you can't really, you know. Plus sometimes you're watching your teammate doing something and you might think that it's a mistake, but you don't know like the deep like you know, understanding of what's going on for him, because like many other things can happen like in the game. There you can miss the
Yeah.
sound, you can, you know, like be confused by something. It's like super hard to like, you know. So maybe the sometimes I was thinking that maybe the basic game, like basic ABC, so just items, trying to not fit, like fighting always together, maybe getting collecting all of this together and like being perfect at it, maybe that's the key to
Yeah,
be
but
the
you
best.
still you would still need to add like a bit of aggression, right? And
Hmm.
then you have those little moments where you might be too aggressive,
Hmm.
and then it all falls apart. Like
Yeah.
it's very sensitive to fully figure out.
Hmm.
But that's pretty much the reason why Counter Strike teams, for example. I mean, they play as five team
Hmm.
together, and then they also have like a coach behind, and maybe even another guy who does like analyzes things.
Hmm.
And I mean that helps a lot, because that's the players can just focus on how to play the game while there's someone behind or after to really analyze what went wrong, and they can just adjust and do it better for the next tournament match, whatever.
Hmm. So now seeing, for example, like some shift on the scene, like now we see like Rafa Maxer beating Keltz series, who were like unbeatable for like many cups like lately. Uh, do you think like their like playstyle like is the best now? Because like RMV and Ramis are playing very similar. They also playing super aggressive on items, and they also doing quite good. But for example, serious Celts, like what I realized is like Celts is like committing force to a lot of items. Serious sometimes is standing like on some distance, taking the shots and still helping on the item, but not necessarily going on into it. Like, do you
Mm.
feel like it's better to like be really fast and always commit for items and throw yourself on the item, or trying to be like more around the item and maybe deal damage after they pick up the item, or like some sweet
Mm.
spot, or like or
I
as
mean, it's
I
it's
know
it's
it's
quite a good.
difficult. It's
Yeah, it's
difficult to like say like one if it's black or white, but like, you know,
yeah.
it's always like
Really is
something in
big, because
between.
that also really depends. I mean, we can now only break down between Rapha Maxter and Keltz Sirius, but then there are also other teams who do play a bit different, and then the match
Mhm.
plan needs also to adjust at least a little bit. You know, like you need to do like different champion picks, different map picks, maybe, and
Mhm.
then it just creates like a different map creates a little bit different situations, and that also can favor one team or another.
Mhm.
And yeah, but overall, if we just breaking down these two teams, then right now they see like Rafa Maxa seem to have the code to break Sirius and Kells.
Mhm.
Um, but I'm sure next time it's gonna be closer again. Like Kells is doing like great analyzing job,
Mhm.
breaking matches down, and yeah, then just spreading this information to Sirius, and Sirius tries to adjust as good as he can to that.
Mhm.
And I mean, the thing is with Kells and Sirius, like even facing Sirius in a 2v1 fight
Mhm.
sometimes can be quite difficult because of
Yeah.
how good he's aiming. So
Yeah.
but yeah, there will be the moment where this actually shifts a bit and players won't be as scared anymore
Mhm.
facing Sirius, and then yeah, that's the moment they need to adjust more and
Mhm.
be more active, especially Sirius in that moment needs to be
Mhm.
more active than he is right now.
Mhm. I think so too. I think he's like super outside of the fight sometimes because he really wants to deal as much damage as he can, and he wants to have like easy shots. So I think long term, like it's easier to win with Rafa Maxter playstyle because they constantly doing the same thing, like all the time in practice. That's why I think that was the key also for Rafa in 1v1, like to win some lands because he was always doing the same. So no matter what was the conditions around him, no matter who he was playing, no matter like what map,
Wait, what? What? Who he was playing? Did
still
you forget about?
still what I'm no, you don't understand what I'm going through. No matter if he was losing or winning as well, he was like always playing the same game, which made
Mm,
like in general everything easier for him because
yeah.
he didn't think like what to change, like what to pick. For him, it was very very simple. This is what I did, this is what I'm doing, and this is what I'm going to do like always. So it's like long term, like you got like a bit bigger percentage when compared to when you're changing all the time something, and
Mm.
if there is like more randomness. And with serious scouts, it's gonna be more about if they're gonna hit as much, if they're gonna like do the right thing. And for Rafa Max, it's always the same. And long term, it might be better maybe for them. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it kind of perfects that kind of play style if you could just keep doing it, and then only like very tiny things you adjust fitting to your teammate then, and
Mhm.
then yeah, it's
Especially that they seem to be like very similar players. They really like to play aggressive and fast, so they kind of match up really good. And like even though in the beginning like they didn't really play as good as they do now. But I think the main reason was that they were playing like Rafa was from US and he was from EU, and the servers were like not in their favor. And I think Rafa was struggling extremely, like playing from USA, and now he's like playing much better, like damage
mm.
wise and like aim wise. So I think that's why everything clicked like together.
Yeah,
And
also practicing it's much easier when he's also in Europe, and then
mhm,
it's just easier. Maxter, they can play a little practice a little earlier, so their
mhm,
mind is like more awake than when Rafa, for example, is in the US. He
mhm,
might has to wake up very early, so Maxter is able to play like on a decent time,
mhm,
or it goes the other way. For Rafa, it's like midday, and for Maxter, it's like super late, and he gets tired already. So in that situation, it's very difficult to really improve
mhm,
because there's always someone who can't be like fully there and really fully listen and focus, and yeah.
mhm. I'm surprised about, not surprised, but so for 2 years almost, like each cup was won by vengeuR and Raisy, and now they kind of struggling, but still they playing super good for considering like the amount they practicing. What do you think about them?
Yeah, I mean the synergy between those two is just
It's
insane.
insane. Yeah.
Yeah, that's like the thing. So there's like this 150% trust when they playing together,
Hmm.
because of how things went in the past.
Mhm.
and that's something that won't leave them. Like even if they play or not, it's just there from all the practice and tournaments they played successfully together. They
Mhm.
know that it worked, and they can trust their skills,
Mhm.
and yeah, can always rely on that. I mean, of course, only with practice now they can make the right adjustments
Mhm.
to be like that top team again. um but yeah, it's still there. You can see anytime they participate in 2v2 cups,
Mhm.
doing well, especially yeah, considering how much they are practicing.
Mhm.
And uh
And do you think like if we put like any good like 1v1 player with any good 1v1 player, like there is some like there is a chance that this team won't click ever? Or do you think even if two players struggle a lot in the beginning, they still can work through it?
Yeah, I think they can mostly work. Like 90% can work through it. I mean,
Hmm.
then it really comes down to discuss situations with each other, to really share your thoughts and everything. So your teammate really understands what you are doing, why you are doing it, and then you can,
Hmm.
just get this middle ground, to find the way where both players, oh yeah, you're right, or
Hmm.
the other says you're right,
Hmm.
and then it makes click for both of them. And there is a way to make it happen.
I also realized it when I was thinking about like 2v2 a lot. Like I was thinking about some teams and I realized that, for example, Ron, he's never really like outstandingly good with aiming, or he's never super flashy with anything. He's not really super great at anything, but he's very good at everything basically. So
Mm,
he's like, decent with everything, and he's like adjusting a lot. So sometimes I had the impression if you put him to any team, this team will be decently good. Like
mm,
no matter if he gonna play with Tox, with Rapha, with me, with you, whoever he kinda gonna like adapt. And like same was with Tox when he played. I was speaking with him and I asked him how do you play with Tox, because he's like Tox is like in his own world and he's doing really different kind of things. And he said that he's just asking him like how he wants to play, like before the map, like Tox says, okay, we just need to stay on top, control rail more, la 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 la. And Hron just adjusting to it. He's like watching what he's doing. He's kind of, And then when he plays Rafa, he knows that he has to rush to every item and like changing a lot. So that's why I
mm.
also think that whatever team you're gonna create, if both players willing to like understand each other, they can improve. But of course some
Absolutely.
teams will have easier time, like Rapha and Maxter. From the beginning they are on the same page, we know what we're doing, there is nothing else like what we're gonna do. And like some teams are just gonna like like even in 1v1, like our styles were like absolute something completely different, and it also shows in 2v2. I think we are one of the teams who will struggle in the beginning, and we need to kind of work through it and adjust things, because like it's like with practice it also comes easier, because like you kind of more like understand what's going on and what your teammate is doing just by feeling. You kind of already remember situations from practice, and you go like this. What I really
Yeah, but
think.
but I absolutely with you. Like Hon can like integrate like really well whatever wherever you throw him, just like you said, and he's adapting really well depending on the situation or team or player
Mhm.
he's playing with. It's actually something he's been practicing a bit over the years now with streaming like different games, and always have like different teammates, talk with them,
Mhm.
and always having like a toe in Quake somehow, and then still play some games, playing
Exactly, he's
some
playing so
yeah.
many different games with
Mhm.
so many different people. Like
Yeah.
he had to adapt at some point, like to
Yeah.
everything basically.
Yeah, and that just helps him, like, absolutely, and he keeps doing so. So, but also, like, I think that's a bit of his talent, that he's a very good analyzing
Hmm.
style of player, but doing it on the fly. Actually, he doesn't need to watch a VOD or something. He
Hmm.
realizes what went wrong and how it went wrong,
Hmm.
immediately, and adjusts to that within the next few minutes actually. So that's actually incredible skills. Yeah, he gives into team games.
Because like even in 1v1, it's just some little moments. For example, when we spoke about Tempest, like I really realized that okay, so you can play like Tempest, for example, going from mega to heavy, from mega to heavy, from mega to heavy, and I was doing that. And then when we started Tempest Shrine, it was one of our best maps, and then we kind of struggle, and I was like, Jesus, what's wrong on this map? Why we struggling like out of the sudden? And like even small like switch, like I was just like, okay, I'm just not gonna go to mega. I will just try to play only on like nail gun, rail, and like this TP area near this jump pad. And when I figured out to stay on this jump pad, it went much easier because like
Yeah,
you had access to like LG, you seen the jump pad from LG, you seen the one TP, second TP, you seen the rail green, the jump pad from rail. You've seen the whole area on heavy. You've seen basically everything. The jump pad behind you, the extra room with the pillar and green on it. Like it's
yeah,
like you had like some such positions. If you cover them, like in 2v2, it's also like you're just switching something, and then it's like completely different sometimes.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah. Right. At first, like when we played at the QuakeCon tournament, and Tempest was in the pool, and it has
Mhm,
been one of our best maps, if not the best map of us. Um, yeah, somehow our the style we used on it worked really really well.
mhm.
Um, and yeah, now coming back to the map, it was somehow completely different type
Yeah,
of game we had to play. Like,
yeah.
very weird, and there was no huge impact change happening or
Mhm,
something. It
mhm.
it just turns out because of speed, momentum. It just is a bit different, and you can't go out like too much, otherwise you will lose the position and then get fired in your back.
Mhm. And I also think like if we want to improve, we need to improve our power up game because we usually, even though we're doing good and like we're winning matches, like sometimes I get the impression that we almost always like get less like power ups.
Yeah,
And it's also hard,
absolutely.
and you can also not like really discuss it because there is basically two ways. Either we, for example, attack much earlier, like 30 seconds before, we go in,
Mm.
we deal damage, we die, and we re-rush, and then we are low HP and they re-rushing. Or like I don't know, we go last moment and we kind of go all in, or we just like take position on power up like much earlier with good stacks. Because basically, if you think about it, the first power up is like after the second pickup of item, which is like 10405.
Yeah.
You kind of have nothing to do. So basically, ideally, you don't want to lose your stack. You want to already set up on the power up and then have a fight there.
Yeah, but still, when you're early on the power up, it's still possible. It depends on how much you're gonna get hit, right?
Yeah,
In
yeah,
a way,
yeah,
if you getting hit like somehow unluckily too much, and then you weak when they just
yeah,
come again, and then they also just take the
yeah,
position again, right?
yeah.
So yeah, that can be quite tough and difficult to fully figure out and
Yeah,
and
because
be ready for that.
or you can do something like this. For example, so there are second items like 110 something, and if we both take them, means we are in control and have bigger stack. We should set up first on the power up because we most likely gonna win that fight. First of all, because of bigger stack. Second of all, because they are coming on us. So it's like we got easier time defending it. But if they took it, or if it's a split, we took mega, they took heavy, like, then it's the time to decide what to do, basically.
Yeah,
Because if
yeah,
they took the
absolutely.
items, we kind of need to, we can't save our like basic stack, which is like, for example, 100 to 50. We need to actually go really aggressive and try to deal damage and then come back. Like all those kind of things. It also
Yeah, and
depends on the
then
map.
and then it can still happen like that. This bites in your butt again
Yeah,
because you try to go full aggressive and you're actually somehow not doing really a lot of damage because they just have really good shooting focus, for example, on a single player. So you won't live only like 1 second, and then they easily clean up the other guy. And then they're still fully there, and yeah, you just lost everything on the map that
or by
moment.
any chance you kill them and you are stay alive with 6 HP.
Yeah, yeah, and then,
Then you
then you
can go
pick
to
up,
power up.
yeah, yeah, pick up power up, and then you die again. Yeah,
Yeah. Also, it's like I think I think it changes when you go to LAN, for example, and you are more aware and you are more kind of like, secure. Sometimes I also feel like, for example, I take quad and I'm just gonna go somewhere and die because I'm not like, careful enough. But I think
Yeah,
in
yeah.
perfect scenario, what we need to do is we need to have like perfect pre-power up game and after power up game. So if we pick power up, we never can lose it. We never can lose it. And then also there is two theories. You pick up the power up, and then we got two options. Either I go with you and I follow you all the time, but we kind of missing on like, for example, when you got power up and you are killing someone, I try to block spawns on like
Mm,
near some good weapons. So for example, if it's deep, and you got quad, I try to like deny the rail spawns because I know if they take rail, they only hit you once and you're probably dead. So
mm.
I try to kind of like deny that area. Or I go with you, but then we kind of cannot deny like items, we cannot deny really weapons, and we kind of missing out because we are both on the same page, on the same
Yeah.
place, and they also got info where we're going, so we are easier to avoid. But then also there is bigger chance that that they not gonna kill you like when you're going together. So it's like in 2v2 it's too many like if. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
sometimes
There's
but
a lot.
sometimes for Rapha and Maxter it's always the same. I know Rapha always wants to follow. Like whenever I played 2v2 with him and we split when he had power up, I know he didn't like it. Uh, but I somehow think otherwise. I really like to split when we have power up because I think like we
Yeah,
can get much more out of it. But we can
yeah, yeah.
also
Yeah,
lose.
yeah, yeah. To make this maximum use of the power up. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, absolutely. Like, yeah, but it's so situation and map depending if you really can. Also the champions, you know, have a huge part here. Depending on the abilities, have their abilities ready to
Mhm.
counter the power up. So that all these little things, that do some extra damage on you, makes it more and more risky in situations.
That's why I think in Quake Live it was much easier to predict what you're gonna do with power up than it is now. Because here you go somewhere, for example, you're missing a sound and you already kind of losing a lot of damage. Or as you said, you can get some extra like damage from like even from like ability or anything like this, and
Mm,
you can lose power up because like many times we losing power up, we're just not expecting that at all because something really unexpected happening. So maybe really like securing the power up is the way to go. Also like playing against the power up, like to not lose a lot of frags, to not feed, and I think same in 1v1. I think there was some players who were feeding a lot, and like sometimes when you had control, you kind of felt that it's gonna be easy now, but you had players who were super hard to kill when you had control, and you knew it's not gonna be easy. So I
yeah.
think it's same in 2v2. We really need to, pay attention to not feed from the very beginning, and it's like kind of tricky with like playing fast, as you said, because like we going to items, we kind of feel we're gonna win it, but we're losing, and then we're losing frags
Mm.
at Terra. So yeah.
Yeah, that's always something. I mean, if you just choosing the right way to play against the power up, for example, then I mean you just made the right lucky choice that moment, right? To
Mhm.
stay alive or take control of the map. Even the enemy team has like the power up, trying to chase frags and everything. Um, it's then just on these little, very little decisions to make, or that are making the difference. Yeah,
Mhm.
between a win and lose in the end, even.
Mhm. Also, I think till now, and I think when we played Quake on 2018 2v2, I think the difference when we played there is like we really tried to stick more together, but
Mm,
also we played on LAN,
yeah.
and I think it will be same on KeenCon. I think on KeenCon I will pay much more attention to like sticking together. Now I feel like I'm really trying to like split on the map
Mm.
a lot. Like even if the maybe CK is a little bit different, and
Yeah,
then
yes, I
and
think
then
so. Yeah.
yeah, and then like yeah, because on CK I'm often like often it's situation on CK that we know timings, we go there, and as soon as we splitting, I kind of like always tilt. inside. Because I know that on CK we cannot fucking split because it's already GG. Because like we rushing when it's heavy we on mega. When it's mega we on heavy and it's kind of like everything like slipping apart.
Mm.
Even
Yeah,
though like
that's
CK is still like good map for us.
absolutely, yeah. That's just a map in itself, right? So also when the items like really close together respawning,
Mhm.
sometimes you just can't make it to the other
Yeah.
item.
Yeah.
So and then it's about us or the enemy team, to not overextend in these little moments,
Mhm.
to trying to take the advantage, be as healthy as possible for the next big attack or something.
Mhm. Mhm. And I just figured like I always like try to focus really much on items, so I'm trying to time them. Like I'm like it's my main focus. And you think in 2v2, it's like not in general in Quake. Do you think like or in 1v1? Because you also played different in 1v1. You never played like Rapha or like Cooler, for example, really based on items. Do you feel that in Quake Champions, like items are not the most important thing, like it was in Quake Live, for example? So do you
I
think there
mean,
is many other way arounds to go around it and still win the game?
there surely is a way around, but in 2v2, obviously, it's a little more difficult
Hmm.
because there's two players and two players that need to be able to restack, for example, after a fight. Very often, like you have a fight going on and both players barely survive the fight. And then there will most likely only be one of the two who will be healthy again.
Hmm.
If you won the fight for the heavy, for example, then yeah, you have HP bubbles for one player to really get healthy.
Hmm.
You have the armor for one player to get the stack back up and be ready for whatever comes up next. While the second player needs to slow things down a lot because the next shot means he probably gonna die, and then it's two versus one if stacked or not. I mean, a two versus one is difficult no matter what kind of weapons your opponent has, even with two machine guns. I mean,
Hmm.
they were gonna destroy you anyways, even if you have all the weapon and back on 100 again.
Hmm.
Like there's not that much you can do in these moments. But yeah, then it's just once again like a difficult spot to be in. Like try to be a little aggressive or slow fully down, but if you slow down like too much, you give room for the enemy team to take control of the map again, or majority of the map again, slowly collect all the weapons again they need. So yeah, just another very sensitive situation.
I think it's interesting what you said. I also forgot about it. It's like usually it's like this in a team. There is one player who usually like in percentage takes more items than the other. And I think the player who takes more items, or okay, the player who takes less items cannot play the style of Rafa
Mm,
because he's gonna be dying a lot and feeding. He kinda needs to play more like you, who can like do a lot with nothing basically. So you don't really have stack, but you got rail, for example. You can
mm,
like deal some damage, stay alive, because I think staying alive in 2v2 is very important because it's like if we go to the fight like 2v1 and there is one guy who is like low HP and the other enemy wants to kill him, but this guy is like, hiding behind the corner, then repeating, then hiding, he kind of creates so much mass destruction and space that is like very hard for them. The worst thing you can do is like when you are low stack, just go into the fight and die immediately. You
mm.
need to prolong the fight somehow, so it's
Yeah.
important. So I think yeah, the guy with less stack is like very big responsibility on that guy as well to like stay like to don't die, etc. So yeah, it's like whenever I think about 2v2, it's like you want to make a plan, but you know that in general this plan like there's little chance that it will work actually in the
Yeah,
game
yeah,
because it's
yeah.
like
It's
hard to
just
predict.
just much more chaotic at times compared to duel. Like in duel, I always had some kind of backup route to restack, to have my side of the map. Even it was like very
Mhm.
limited at moments, but try to make just out of that situation, try to make the best possible.
Mhm.
Deal the most amount of damage you can do, so you make the pickups of your opponent like worthless
Mhm.
in these moments, and you still have like a little armor in your back, for example. I
Mhm.
mean, you can easily force these things in duel, but it's impossible to force these kind of situations in 2v2 like that.
Hmm.
Like you may be able to have like one armor in your bag, but that you have two armors in your bag with four players spawning all around the map in a way,
Hmm.
it's rarely gonna happen.
Hmm. That's why maybe when we are out of control, we need to try to be like all the time together, because like it's up to our enemy team to make a mistake. Because if one of them will come to fight us, he most likely gonna lose. And
Mm.
like so it's like we're not making any mistake if we are together basically with only one armor and then we got some weapons, etc. But yeah, it's like all up to discussion. And also, for example, like clutch is really strong in 2v2, and we kind of struggling with clutch, so it's like also good to like practice against it, or also like 2v2, like setting up practice like our weak points of the game. So playing somebody who's playing good clutch and then practicing it. And like as I said before in the practice, and it's probably on your stream as well, that I think like against tanks in general, or like against clutch, we really need to like switch a little bit. So we need to try to actually throw ourselves on items to feed to like to not feed the clutch, to starve him basically, because I think that's much easier way to play with clutch, especially in 2v2.
Yeah, but then there's also the thing, you throw yourself on the items, you maybe pick them up, but you still die. So you're probably gonna be, like 2, 3, 4 frags down that moment. And if they play from that moment like very consistent,
Mhm,
very safe, there's no real way to catch up, because at some point Clutch will just be healthy again, and he can always get away with
mhm.
how dash works. So
I just think
yeah,
long term it might work better, because Clutch is kind of playing long term. He's playing from shield to shield.
yeah.
Basically, he doesn't really. So like Clutch player, like between shields, they are not really doing anything beneficial. They
Yeah,
just
they just
trying to
just need
kind of
need
recover.
yeah, yeah. Maybe they land a rail, then it's good, so they
Yeah,
can dash after.
yeah,
But that's the only situation where Clutch actually does something in between.
yeah,
Otherwise, he will just try to get backup shield, try to hide, try to run away when getting
yeah.
hit a little too much.
And I realize when I'm trying to play aggressively on items and taking them, like this is already denying Clutch to be able to recover, because even with the shield back, he kind of doesn't really have stack, and it's like, and he's also not getting that useful. So that's why I always fought, and that's why when we played, I understood clearly, like whenever we got like super control, it's getting much easier. That's why it's
Mm,
often the game against Clutch looks like, for example, we losing 24 to 10, but then the game is like 32 to 28 out of a sudden, because on that half of the game we had control, so we catched up. Then like for example we taking control again and it's like 40 to 34. They taking control. It's like big gaps between frags,
yeah.
which usually it's like it's like the score is like 11 to 7, then it's like 18 to like 12 or 14. Like the gaps are much smaller than we play against Clutch. It's either goes this way or that way. If Clutch gets momentum and he and we feeding him, he kind of rolling us after that, especially in 2v2 when we are just spawning without anything, and it's like the other guy also dealing damage and his distraction. So you're
Mm,
not only focused on the Clutch, because in 1v1 it's also much easier. You take some good position, you got some ability, and you know that this ability, for example, works against Clutch really good. You got to get away with Nyx, for example, so you are not scared. And in 2v2, everything is complicated,
yeah, I,
basically.
I I should probably pick him up, to be honest.
And
Like
play Clutch.
yeah, long term. I mean, there's still like a lot of time until then, so enough time to really
Yeah.
get into Clutch again. Last time I really played Clutch has been what, 2018 or something. So yeah, that's been the last time I really been focused on learning him.
It's also high risk and kind of low reward, because then on LAN, I'm not sure that Clutch will be so strong on LAN.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, but you're still able, if so, then you're still able to pull him off. I mean, which is still, always good to have some aces in your sleeve, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah. Yeah, anyway, that's it. I just wanted to have a little talk about 2v2 and what you think in general. Uh, so we definitely gonna play Estoty and KeenCon, and next week we're probably gonna start some practicing again, and you're gonna stream
yeah,
like
absolutely.
all our practice. Uh, and today we're gonna play some. if we
I
find
mean,
some.
yeah. If you got something up, then I'm down.
Okay. Anyway, thank you, Kili, for your time, and thank you for speaking with me.
Yeah, thanks.
And hope you
Thanks.
guys enjoyed it, and let us know what you think about how we play 2v2. I'm sure there is a lot of experts, so you can tell us what we're doing wrong, or like somebody can analyze. We already have coaches in our chat, like Muni is always coaching me, and Ins is our huge coach, always knows what's wrong.
Mooney is doing well. Like,
Yeah,
what I learned from him is not to drop below 1 HP.
yeah. What I learned from him is to pick Sorlak, so it's good. Anyway, thank you.